His name is General Breedlove. That's a porn name. His name is General Breedlove.
Getting that much longer, precise strike to take the fight deeper to the Russians into Crimea and into their supply lines as they're approaching. If you want to have immediate battlefield impact, it's not the F-16.
They're doing it to us on purpose. Or maybe war just sounds oddly sexual. We're sending tanks to Ukraine.
General Philip Breedlove, a former NATO Supreme Allied Commander himself, a distinguished chair, by the way, at the Middle East Institute. General, it's my understanding that the reason for the tanks is the expectation that the next 6 months is essentially going to be a modernized version of World War I. A lot of trenches. The Russians have been digging trenches.
His name is General Breedlove. That's a fucking porn name. His name is General Breedlove. I don't even have any jokes. That is like, his name is General Breedlove.
You live in sexual anarchy.
Charlie's face fit like right perfect over him. I hate it when we're doing a serious story. And, you know, I want to learn more about this issue. And then you hit me with General Breedlove. Let me tell you, if you're going to be doing some Breedlove, and I got some advice for you.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
General Breedlove, please tell us more about something, tanks, NATO, some
The
shit.
need for this.
Fucking nut fuck. Fucking nut fuck. God fuck. All right, General Breedlove. I might have to pack a new one. It might be cached. I'll get on that while we listen to General Breedlove.
You know,
does Chuck Todd say his name? I didn't catch that.
Let's bring in retired General Philip Breedlove, a former NATO Allied Commander himself, a distinguished chair, by the way, at the Middle East.
He said it really fast, like he didn't want to bring attention to it.
Let's bring in retired General Philip Breedlove, a former NATO Supreme Allied Commander himself, a distinguished chair, by the way, at the Middle East Institute. So, General, it's my understanding that the reason
Breedlove's in a chair.
The expectation that the next 6 months is essentially going to be a modernized version of World War I. A lot of trenches. The Russians have been digging trenches, and that's the need for this. What is that?
The distinguished Breedlove.
Explain the importance of why the Ukrainians wanted all these tanks.
Well, first of all, Todd or Chuck, thanks for having me. It's more than the tanks. Remember that before the tanks, we have.
Thank you for coming, Breedlove.
What we're putting together is an armored team that can survive on the battlefield. And one of the words that land force commanders like to say is changing the shape and nature of the battlefield. Like you said, the trench
coming up on my 1 year Lady B anniversary.
Static. And this armored element opens up the shape and the availability of the battlefield. Remember that Russia sent an awful lot of tanks in the north.
It opened spread eagle
Ukraine,
for Breedlove.
A bunch of them got killed, and they didn't change the shape of the battlefield because they weren't employed well. Tankers will tell you you don't take a tank without dismounted infantry to protect it, and the Bradleys supply mobile
weed indeed,
so that we can put a powerful armored team on the battlefield that can reshape that linear battlefield via maneuver.
Look, everything gets war gamed. What do you expect the Russians, how they try to counter this?
Well, I don't expect them to really try to counter it. What we've not seen from the Russians is very innovative battlefield.
That looks like it's the all-in-one. That's the
shuffle
printer
among the
fax.
leadership of the Russian forces because
Scanner.
they're not succeeding. They're falling
Can't
back
curse if I'm
into
ripping a bong. That's exactly
the
right,
old
Progressive.
Grozny type of warfare, ground and pound with the artillery, and then throw infantry at the problem.
Yeah, Breedlove giving them the ground and pound.
They'll make a lot of changes, and they are suffering manpower problems, as you know.
You know, the one wild card out here is in the air.
Wild card
out there because right now the Ukrainian air defenses are working. But if there's one place where the Russians have an advantage, it would be in the air. And how would you expect the Russians to try to attempt to? I mean, you heard Courtney say, you know, if they need to sort of create the illusion of momentum, they might try in the air. What does that look like? And would you be recommending?
Yeah, join the Mile High Club with Breedlove.
So let me just jump a little bit in front of your question because I heard you ask Courtney that.
Yeah.
And you went straight to F-16s. I think a more immediate impact on the battlefield and a capability that the Ukrainians are ready right now to accept is the ATACMS, the increased capability for the MLRS artillery system, getting that much longer, precise strike to take the fight deeper to the Russians into Crimea and into their supply lines as they're approaching. If you want to have immediate battlefield impact, it's not the F-16.
They're doing it to us on purpose. Or maybe war just sounds oddly sexual. Immediate impact from Breedlove. We have learned nothing about Ukraine or NATO.
I love it. It's a great idea. It's something we need to do over time. But if we want to impact the spring offensive, it's the ATACMS that will impact the spring offensive. And that's
ATACMS, is that your safe word?
For Ukraine.
All right, speaking of time, this coalition in NATO is hanging together. But we see there's moments where you're like, uh-oh, could it crack, right? What do you think the clock is here for Ukraine? What would you be telling the Ukrainian leadership? Look,
Emmerich, good evening.
You got another 9 months, and you need to get to this negotiation.
Trade the impregnable.
What would you be saying? Is that the window?
Well, no, I wouldn't use those numbers. First, we have to recognize that this is what Mr. Putin is all about. His army is failing in the field in the larger sense. His war of words and his war of fear and his war of deterring NATO from
his soldiers are shooting blanks is what you're saying.
Possibly should. That war is making great purchase. And Mr. Putin is trying to sell the idea that this is going to be a long war and it's going to grind on and on. And what he's trying to
be long and grind on and on.
Rather than starting to put timelines on it from our side, what we need to do is continue to show the resolve that shows that we are going to be there. And so Mr. Putin's war of words is less effective at trying to drive wedges into the alliance.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind he never thought NATO would not just be hanging together for a year, but a year later,
NATO hanging over here.
I mean, and he never thought that Ukraine would take it to him on the battlefield like they are now either.
No.
Everything sounded sexual.
It's good to get your perspective on this program. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
That may be the greatest segment in the history of the Troll Patrol. And I think I did it without profanity. Well, aren't we special?